I think, I mean, we'll both remember that you lost to him by one stroke. You know, your pro-am number at 79.
Right. Valid.
You missed hitting him by one.
Almost had him. Bad read off your
Almost
putt.
had him.
Bad read off your putt on 18.
Blame the caddy.
You jammed me there.
Yeah, he jammed you. But the thing was, nobody was more gutted, honestly, than Rory about, just didn't have it up at TPC Toronto this year. And I mean, the guy was gracious and did everything that, you can ever ask of the guy. And sometimes it just doesn't work out. And so we were excited that, Rory has been synonymous with our event, the RBC Canadian Open, since when he went back-to-back, on the bookends of COVID in 19 and 22. And he's just been, such a great fan of our event and participated, and we couldn't have asked for more. The interesting thing out here, guys, is seeing, he's from nearby Hollywood, which is pretty funny to say, but he's from nearby. The bars, the pubs, the restaurants are jammed to the gills, rooting for him. Like he couldn't be a more proud son of the region. And so, he's just got that. He's got that hop in his step. He's really, he looks fantastic out there. He didn't start. He did some media where he said he was thinking about, 4 years ago he went out of bounds off the tee, and then he said, all I've been thinking about is coming back to Portrush and getting off that first tee okay, and he almost did that. Unfortunately, he did bogey number one. But Rory McIlroy at Royal Portrush is kind of like, it's almost like the energy behind a deep playoff game for the Leafs. It's just electric out here. And there's a bunch of guys, you've got Shane Lowry, obviously, who won in 19, and then you've got a few other famous sort of sons here. You've got Darren Clark, and then Padraig Harrington was sort of first out this morning, somewhat ceremonial. So it's great. The Irish love their golf. It's a game for every person here, which is kind of the way the game has been starting to flow in Canada and places around where everybody's enjoying it. Everyone's playing. It's so funny to see so many, relatively famous or people you recognize, and they're so into their golf. Like I saw Niall Horan today walking with Rory's group. I saw a bunch of other athletes, footballers that were watching and being part of it. So it's an amazing phenomenon, and the sport is in a really lucky place right now.
LA, what's the feeling around Scotty Scheffler? You talked about all those players that, there would be, big crowds watching those guys. And I think a lot of people saw what Scotty said and said, wow, that's interesting that he would be that candid and that genuine and that open about what he's feeling. Have guys been talking about that? And what's the feeling around Scotty this week?
Yeah, I'm not super close to that camp. I did see the comments, and the sort of the word with some of the Canadians was really like, it's great to see the candor that Scotty, as number one player in the world, sort of sharing. It makes you think about the work you put in and the drive to win, or the drive to be number one, or the drive for major championships, and sadly, it's pretty fleeting. Like, you think about the guys who won the Cup this year, and they get a summer with it, and they get their day, but all of a sudden you turn the page and they're back at camp and you're back in the grind. So, you guys would understand that. I think what's so interesting about him is you look at his results, and even his not so great results are T20s or top 20s or being just outside of the mix. And so I think the rest of the field is somewhat feeling about chasing him, and you can see out here, he's one of the featured groups. So when you look inside the ropes, you see a ton of cameras, a ton of people, a ton of media. But that group with Rory, Justin Thomas, and Tommy Fleetwood was probably the number one group that everyone was watching and following. So, to see there are so many neat guys who are doing so many cool things. You just think about the guys we haven't heard of in a while. You see guys like, Colin Morikawa, or you see a Cam Smith, or guys who've been sort of not in amongst the PGA Tour mix at all. And all of a sudden you say, okay, there's going to be something special out here. And it's just neat to see the buzz behind the Open Championship and And the connection, in fact, that they have to the RBC Canadian Open and Canadian golf is really, really a special thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we're just getting started. Day one is wrapped up, but we got 3 more, and we're definitely going to have Canadians into the weekend. We're going to have a great tournament over there at Royal Portrush. And he is Lawrence Applebaum, the CEO of Golf Canada, and he's on the grounds. So enjoy yourself over there, LA. You bring the clubs? If so, how are we playing?
Yeah, the clubs might have snuck into the bag, not the carry-ons, but they might have made it in.
Yep.
And the beauty here is that you can get a relatively full work day in and then sort of sneak out and whip it around. And so there's a couple tracks here that have been on the life bucket list, and we ticked off one with a very special place called Royal County Down. Ooh. So a big shout out to our friends who hosted us there. But that one's really special. And then you sort of turn every corner, and there's another links golf course. It's facing the ocean, and as we're driving away from the golf course, we passed 3 golf courses I'd never heard of that just looked, better and better and better. So it's like it makes us realize how much great golf there is in the world, and we're on a nice slice of it ourselves. And Strutty, we're coming your way. We're coming your way in 2026. Royal Mayfair for the CPKC Women's Open. We just announced in 2026. Maybe we got to get you in the Pro-Am.
Yes, get Strutty out there hacking and whacking.
My game's on the upswing. I almost broke 80 the other day, so I'll be ready. I'll be ready. I'll be ready.
Put it in the calendars. We can't wait. You got to get through Mississauga first, though, coming up in August. We cannot wait for that. All right, Lawrence, enjoy yourself over there. Thank you for doing this, buddy. We appreciate it.
Okay, thanks for all your time, fellas.
There he is, Lawrence Applebaum, the CEO of Golf Canada. Okay, we love it. Ladies on their way out to Edmonton in 2026, and they'll be again at Mississauga later this summer, I guess in just over a month, I think it is, or about a month from today. So we look forward to that. All right, hour 2 coming up. The Leafs have made a trade. We'll get back into it. The Jays are back in action tomorrow night with the Giants in town. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.